The chains were heavy, their cold metal biting into her skin with every movement. Lyra had long since stopped counting the days, the weeks, the years. Time had lost all meaning in the darkness of her cell. She was a Zorathian, a species prized across the galaxy for their strength, agility, and resilience. But to her captors she was nothing more than a tool, a weapon to be used and discarded. They had taken her from her home as a child, breaking her spirit with pain and fear until she obeyed their every command. Lyra had accepted her fate. There was no hope for escape, no hope for freedom. Until he arrived. The human was unlike anyone she had ever seen. He was tall, with broad shoulders and kind eyes that seemed to see straight through her. His name was Marcus, and he was a mercenary hired by her captors to train their assets. From the moment he entered her cell, Lyra hated him. She expected cruelty, brutality, the same treatment she had endured for years. But Marcus was different. "Hello," he said softly, his voice calm and steady. "My name's Marcus. What's yours?" Lyra glared at him, her golden eyes blazing with defiance. "I don't have a name," she spat. "Not anymore." Marcus frowned, his gaze flickering to the chains that bound her. "Everyone has a name," he said, "even if they've forgotten it." Lyra didn't respond. She didn't trust him. She didn't trust anyone. Over the next few weeks, Marcus visited her cell daily. He brought food, water, and medical supplies, treating her wounds with a gentleness that made her uneasy. He spoke to her not as a prisoner but as a person. He told her stories of his home, a planet called Earth, and the family he had left behind. "Why are you doing this?" Lyra asked one day, her voice tinged with suspicion. Marcus looked at her, his expression unreadable. "Because no one deserves to live like this," he said. "Not even you." Lyra didn't know what to say. She wanted to hate him, to push him away, but something about his kindness made it impossible. One night everything changed. Lyra was awakened by the sound of shouting and the clang of metal against metal. She sat up, her chains rattling as she strained to see through the darkness. The door to her cell burst open, and Marcus stepped inside, his face streaked with blood. "Come on," he said, his voice urgent. "We're getting out of here." Lyra stared at him, her heart pounding. "What are you talking about?" Marcus knelt beside her, his hands working quickly to unlock her chains. "I'm not one of them," he said. "I came here to free you. All of you." Lyra's eyes widened as the chains fell away, the weight lifting from her body for the first time in years. "Why?" she whispered. Marcus met her gaze, his eyes filled with determination. "Because it's the right thing to do," he said. "Now come on. We don't have much time." The escape was chaotic. Marcus led Lyra and the other prisoners through the labyrinthine corridors of the facility, his weapon drawn as they fought their way to freedom. Lyra moved with a speed and agility she had almost forgotten, her body responding to the rush of adrenaline. But their captors were relentless. They pursued them with a fury, their weapons firing bursts of energy that lit up the darkness. Marcus fought with a skill and precision that left Lyra in awe, but even he couldn't hold them off forever. As they reached the exit, a shot rang out and Marcus stumbled, his hand clutching his side. "Marcus!" Lyra cried, rushing to his side. "I'm fine," he said through gritted teeth. "Keep going. The ship's just outside." Lyra shook her head, her golden eyes blazing. "I'm not leaving you." Marcus smiled faintly, his hand brushing hers. "You're stronger than you think," he said. "Now go. Live your life." Lyra hesitated, her heart torn. But as the sound of approaching footsteps grew louder, she knew she had no choice. She helped Marcus to his feet, supporting him as they stumbled toward the ship. The other prisoners were already aboard, their faces filled with hope and fear. Lyra helped Marcus into the pilot's seat, her hands trembling as she strapped him in. "You're going to be okay," she said, her voice firm despite the fear in her chest. Marcus smiled faintly, his eyes closing as the ship lifted off. "I know," he said, "because of you." The journey to safety was long and fraught with danger. Marcus's wound was serious, and Lyra spent every moment by his side, tending to him and keeping him alive. When they finally reached a safe haven, a planet where the prisoners could start anew, Lyra felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. Marcus recovered slowly, his strength returning day by day. And as he healed, Lyra found herself drawn to him in ways she couldn't explain. One evening, as they sat beneath the stars, Lyra turned to him, her golden eyes filled with emotion. "Thank you," she said softly, "for everything." Marcus smiled, his hand brushing hers. "You don't have to thank me," he said. "You saved yourself. I just gave you the chance." Lyra shook her head. "You gave me more than that," she said. "You gave me hope." Years later, Lyra stood on the bridge of a ship, her golden eyes scanning the stars. She was no longer a prisoner, no longer a weapon. She was free. And beside her stood Marcus, his kind eyes filled with pride. "Where to next?" he asked, his voice warm with affection. Lyra smiled, her heart full. "Wherever the stars take us," she said. And as the ship soared into the vastness of space, Lyra knew one thing for certain. Her life had been changed forever, not by chains or pain, but by the kindness of a human who saw her for who she truly was.